Mindset Mentor is our moment each week where we chat about mindset, because before you can take action, you have to get your mind right. We've been featuring some favorites from the book and video collection that Jason has going on. And Jason, today, my understanding is we're going to talk about one of the Mount Rushmore characters in terms of marketing. That is Seth Godin, in a book that he wrote, This is Marketing. What were your thoughts about this, and what should docs keep awareness of and be aware of regarding This is Marketing and Seth Godin?
You know, I love that we kick the show off each and every week with mindset, because, everybody wants to skip over to what should I do? But unless we sort of connect on how we're thinking about these things, unless we, understand even the same terms, then we're really having different conversations. No different than, when you as a chiropractor say to somebody, oh, we're going to help you improve your health. What the word health means, optimal function, is a totally different definition as to what people hear or think or believe health means. Oh, you'll take away my symptoms and I'll be fine to go back to doing the destructive things in my lifestyle that caused me to be here to begin with. Those are two different definitions of the same word. And unless we get on the same, level of understanding what we're talking about, we're going to continue to miss. You're going to think one thing, your listeners are going to hear something else. And so, since people think of us as a marketing company, the same phenomenon tends to happen. Most people, including most chiropractors, have learned, been, marketed to believe that marketing is the same thing as advertising. And that's just not the case. Advertising is a form of marketing, but marketing is much, much, much more than just advertising. And it's really essential, if you want to succeed in your future and kind of transcend beyond this constant cat and mouse game of who moved my cheese, of, I ran a good campaign, it worked for a little while, lots of people came in, a few people stuck around, I did the math, I think it kind of worked out. If you want to change that, what I'll call addiction to needing new patients through paid advertising, oftentimes including deep discount ads, and you really want to start building a culture, building a tribe, we refer to it as a health tribe, building a community of people that actually think the way you think, that you don't have to sell, because, as I'll talk about in just a few moments, people like us do things like this. If you understand Seth Godin, many of you, we're going to be talking about this book right here. If you understand what many have called him the grandfather of marketing, if you understand a new perspective of what marketing really is in today's culture, using today's technology, you will find yourself very much, I'll keep making the metaphor, like sitting through a health talk where you walked in thinking, I just want to get my back pain fixed and get out of here and take my insurance and let me leave because I'm busy, and walk out with a completely different perspective of what's possible. And not only what's possible, but how easy it is to achieve that possibility. Marketing is very much the same way when you see it from a different, fresh, more accurate perspective. Now, just pause for a moment, because Godin does talk about advertising. And he doesn't put it down necessarily, but what he does is he explains that in the day and age when your only options to communicate with people were basically radio and television, and in the day and age when people had three channels on television to choose from and a handful of channels on the radio to listen to, that was the only way to get your message out to the masses. There wasn't an internet. There wasn't email. There weren't these types of tools and technology in those times. And in fact, if you think about it, B.J. Palmer really was a pioneer to get the message out. And that's my mantra here, is that it's not about the technology. It's not about the advertisement. It's about what format can you get your message out. And in today's day and age, because we're not in broadcast world, the world has flipped upside down, meaning there are more people watching Joe Rogan on a weekly basis on Spotify, subscribing to Spotify, than there are watching the mainstream news channels themselves. Think about that for a moment. What used to be the only and most powerful way to communicate with your audience and the nation was through the traditional channels. Then it went into cable. But in the internet age of podcasts, social media, blogs, and the ability to create your own culture or ecosystem using all of those technologies. And that's where so many people fall down. You know, Seth Godin's got another book he calls Meatball Sunday. I read that years ago, maybe 2 decades ago. And it addressed this exact phenomenon. When the internet first came out, all these companies would say, okay, get me a website. I know websites are trendy. Get a website. But they would continue to do their business the same old-fashioned way. And Meatball Sunday is the metaphor that you can put all this fancy social media, websites, blogs, podcasts on top and make it look delicious. But if your primary business model is still the same old business model, aka meatball, then you don't have an ice cream sundae, you got a meatball sundae. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of chiropractors are continuing to do. They're thinking the old-fashioned way. And I'm not referring to principles and green books and healing and all that stuff. I'm referring to the ways you communicate with your community. And unfortunately, the messaging that has gotten dumbed down based on the belief that you have to bring all kinds of people in for what they want, even though you may feel you do something different. That kind of bait and switch. Let's just get them in. We'll get them in for a massage. Then we'll show them where their problem is. We'll get them in for, a really deep discount. Then we'll explain to them what we really do. You can question your ethics on all of that. I'll leave that up to you. But the bottom line is it costs too much and doesn't give you the long-term lasting results that you're looking for. So I could go on for hours. I'm going to give you a couple tips here in just a moment about some of the highlights of the book. But if you really want to understand where we're coming from, this is marketing. I don't know, you can't even come up with a better title about a marketing book than to say, this is it. It's almost, well, never mind, I won't go there. But let me just read a few things that Godin writes to just stimulate where he's going with all of this and where we are as the smart chiropractor and where we invite you to be as clients of ours or potential clients of ours, because this is the philosophy we subscribe to. I know a lot of the challenges we get when people get on, demo calls or when they're, in our groups and so on, they're like, when are you going to run the ads? And we're like, we don't run ads. Why? Well, because there's 5 types of new patients and running deep discount ads goes to the level 5, as in the most expensive, least qualified type of person to come into your practice. We focus on the 3 top, and even 4 if you want to go there. The top 3 forms of attracting your ideal new patients don't require you to spend any money on advertising. How do you like that? You should say a lot. All right, so here's just something from the beginning of the book. This is marketing, and we'll wrap it up for this mindset. Our goal is for you to understand that you want to think different about how you're communicating with people, what you're communicating, and what you think you should be doing. You think you should be selling chiropractic. You think you should be getting the word out about what you sell. And it's just not true that way. Godin says this is marketing. Marketing seeks more market share, more customers, more work. Marketing is driven by better service, better community, better outcomes. Marketing creates culture, status, affiliation, and people like us. Most of all, marketing is change. Marketers make change happen. They change the culture, you change your world. Each of us is a marketer, and each of us has the ability to make more change than we imagined. Our opportunity and obligation is to do marketing that we're proud of. So when you think of the messaging you're putting out in your community, are you proud of the deep discount to get them in? Does that accurately really reflect who you are, the brand you want people to think about? Does that attract deal shoppers or your ideal client? Are you willing to accept anybody with a symptom with any type of third-party reimbursement for any period of time that they're willing to come on in based on their beliefs? Or are you going to be a marketer? Someone who asks the question, who can I serve? And once you've thought who your ideal audience, your ideal person is, and figured out how do I connect with that person and teach and invite them consistently enough to attract believers, attract those people that resonate with your truth. We've spoken to thousands of chiropractors over the decades we've been doing this, and burnout for chiropractors happens when you're constantly thinking, feeling, and believing one way, but you're doing and struggling and suffering financially by trying to do it another way. There's not a lot of pride in it. There's oftentimes not a lot of long-term success. We've heard too many stories of those that have sold their souls, so to speak, played the game, as we know. They get in, they make a ton of money, they end up miserable, sometimes in jail, sometimes fined. It's just not worth it. So where we're coming from on the Smart Chiropractor is helping smart chiropractors know that the mindset you go into, how you're reaching out to people, who you want to serve, what you want to offer them, and your ability to use automated technologies, that is where the world is spending their attention. The key is getting their attention and inviting them, creating something they want to be a part of, and doing it consistently over and over and over again. That's the spirit of our show, and it should be the spirit of what you're up to in your practice. So check out the book. If you've got questions, leave them down below. That's what our tribe is all about. You will learn as much by listening to what we do as you will by experiencing what we do. So stay with us. Join us every Tuesday. That's the Mindset Mentorship for this week. Jeff, I know you and I have been going back with different types of notes. I'm underlining the first. It's crazy. It's a great book. Almost every line is a gem. It's overwhelming. I'm actually rereading it for the third time. Anything stand out for you in particular that we should mention as well, Jeff?
The great choice, Jason. What sticks out to me is people like us do things like this. And to me, that speaks to attracting more of your ideal patients. There's a million ways you can go astray, but there are a couple really direct ways that you can stay on task, stay on target, and really build your practice in a sustainable way and have a hell of a lot more fun in the process. And we all know that is by seeing your ideal patients in practice. In my opinion, I'm very much simplifying things here, but marketing enables you to really tell your story. It enables you to connect with those ideal patients in a way that only the best advertising can. And quite frankly, with many chiropractors in advertising, it is not, we're not spending enough money and hiring the ad agencies that are doing the best promotions. So we end up attracting a lower quality individual quite often, as opposed to when we are marketing, when we are building a health tribe, as you described, and when we are doing many of the things that Seth Godin describes in This Is Marketing. It is really building a strong foundation of a practice with more of your ideal patients. You can make more money, you can have more fun, and I can't think of a better way to practice day in and day out. So those would be my closing thoughts on our mindset segment for today. Hey, if you like that video, be sure to subscribe to The Smart Chiropractor. We are posting videos on how you can market your chiropractic practice in a way that teach and invites consistently. We have found that is the magic formula to big time growth. So if you like this video, be sure to comment down below, smash that subscribe button, or visit us at thesmartchiropractor.com.